12. I thought it'd be a good idea to show you kind of where we're going to be going with this one, just because it will help you see why we're going to be doing things the way that we're doing them. So with this one, what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that the origin is centered in here, but it doesn't make sense to draw a cutaway first. So we're going to do a few tricks to kind of make sure that it stays lined up in this side view here. So starting a new drawing, we're going to use the sketch tool, but I want to show you something. If you hit the S key, it brings up shortcuts, and you may not have all these shortcuts on here like I do. What you can do is you can start typing in a shortcut like sketch, and there's the create sketch button, and let me remove it from up there, and you'll get this little arrow here, and you can drop it into this shortcuts menu, and that allows you to quick select certain features so you don't have to move your mouse as much. So if I escape from that, I hit my shortcut key S, then I have create sketch. So that prevents me from having to track all the way up there. So I'm going to select a sketch plane, I'm going to do L for line, and I'm going to just draw that side L shape of that drawing that I showed you. Make sure you get the alignment and back down. Okay, so hit the escape key and that'll get you out of your tool, and we're going to start by dimensioning a few things first. So let's dimension our height here. We're going to make this 0.75. We're going to do the same thing up here. That way we have the same thickness throughout, 0.75. And let's give a length measurement. And instead of clicking on two lines, if you just click on one line, it effectively does the same thing, but sometimes it can lead you astray. So if things ever kind of go out of whack because you change one line instead of dimensioning between two lines, it's usually because those two lines aren't vertical, so you might have to set the constraints for those. So we're going to make this 4.25, and this one 2.75. And hit the escape key so you get your selection arrow, and we're going to drag this so that we can dimension this so that it'll be centered for that circle that's going to go on this face here. So we're going to dimension to that, hit the D key, and we're going to dimension from this to the bottom. That should be 1.5. And we want to make sure that it's centered in this, so half of 0.75. If you are not good at math, you can just put 0.75 divided by 2, and it will automatically do the calculation for you. Hit the E key to extrude, and we're going to, in this case, we want that origin to be in the center, so we want to extrude symmetrically. So we're going to choose symmetric direction, and our distance, we want a total width of 2.25, which is 2 1/4. So we're going to go 1 1/8, so 1.125. Click OK, and that sets our basic shape. So now let's start working on some cutaways. So we're going to create a sketch here. We have just kind of this little box cutaway right here. So I didn't even use my shortcut key there, but we're going to use the rectangle tool, which is R if you want to do it with the shortcuts, and grab that corner and just kind of randomly place it. Use your dimension tool to set the height at 0.25 and the width at 2.125, or 2 1/8. Finish the sketch. E for extrude. Select that profile, and we want to cut into it, so I can just push it that direction, and then I don't have to change anything over here. Just make sure it says cut, and we're going to go 1.5 inches, 1.5, negative. so that way it cuts. Click OK. And it's starting to take shape. So our next sketch is going to be on this back surface. So let's use our shortcut key, hit the sketch tool, click on that back surface, and let's start with a circle. So C for circle. Drag a circle out. It doesn't really matter what size at this point. L for line, and just draw 2 lines across there. So because we set this center location, and we know that this circle is centered on here, and so is this slot through the circle, we can use that center location to kind of give us our height for everything. So our diameter for this circle is going to be 1.5 or 1.5 inches. And from top to center there, we want half of 0.875. So if you're terrible at math, you can do 0.875 divided by 2. And our total height here is going to be 0.875. So now everything's centered on that location. T for trim. And we're going to go through and trim out everything that is unnecessary. We're going to create 2 extrusions off of 1 sketch. So we're going to add in another circle, and we can place it and then dimension it. So this one's going to be 0.625 or 5/8. Finish sketch. And now we can extrude, use the E key, and we want this one to be cut in, and we want it to be a negative 0.375. We're going to go halfway through. And then we can use the extrude again, and we can select this surface. So we want this one to go all the way through, so it's going to be a cut. We're going to say all, make sure it says cut. Okay, and that feature's in there. We got one thing left. We have a little slot in the nose here. So we're going to use, got to remember to use my shortcuts, create sketch, select that surface, and we're going to use L for line. Make sure you're connected to the end here and draw your lines. Click and hold to get a circle. Make sure that you get that alignment tool. And I'm going to purposefully make that one unaligned because I want to run through some of those things that we've done before. We have our horizontal vertical constraint, so we want to make sure that that is horizontal, and we also want to make sure that this remains tangent. So just kind of a refresher on how to put those back in. So let's go ahead and dimension our circle, and this is going to be a radius of 375, so we're going to go 0.75. Nope, it was radius. So we can click that and change it. So we're going to 0.375, and that puts it where it needs to be. So that sets our distance here. Now all we need to do is dimension to the top. So we have a total of 2.5, or sorry, 2.25. This is 3/4. So that actually leaves us with 0.75 on either side. So we'll have 3/4, 3/4, and 3/4. And to get this back into dimension where it should be, we're going to put this at 1.25. Enter. We'll go directly to extrude by hitting the E key, select the profile, and we want to cut and distance all. Now this was a far more complicated shape, so hopefully you paused the video as you needed to. I just turned on that origin to show you. We can shut that off, and we have this. I also have switched, if it looks funny to you, that's because I've switched using this from orthographic to perspective. Perspective looks like if you were actually kind of looking at it. I think it might improve the quality of appearance a little bit better. So make sure you save and make sure you take a screenshot and submit this to Canvas.